The other day, Mel Kiper Jr. dropped his first mock draft before we get to the draft in April, and he slotted the Cleveland Browns taking the dynamic two-way player Travis Hunter with the second overall pick. Here's his defensive stats, man. 36 tackles, 11 pass breakups. He had 4 interceptions, 1 forced fumble. You look at what he did on the offensive side of the ball. 96 receptions, over 1,200 yards, 13 per reception, man. And that should be average. That's my bad on that. And 15 touchdowns. You look at Travis Hunter, man, and I think, honestly, he is this new age, new era two-way player that the NFL has not seen anything like. I think that, there's a lot of uncertainty on where he would, what position would be his primary position, whether that be cornerback or wide receiver. You've played the wide receiver position. The last time we did a breakdown, you did your first breakdown on Shedeur Sanders, and now you get the opportunity to break down his top pass catcher, man. So go ahead. Where you want to start? Do you want to start defense, offense? How you gonna cook?
Let's start on defense. Defense. And when it comes to Mel Kiper, when it comes to Travis Hunter, I understand where Mel Kiper was going, because this kid's a special athlete. And honestly, Earl, he's a rare athlete. I don't think I can, in my 37 years of living, I don't know if I have too many people in mind that can do the things he can do on going both ways and did it how he did it at that such a high level that he did it at. On the defense side of the ball, to me, just being honest with you, he reminds me of a Champ Bailey. 6'1", 185. The knock on him, in my opinion, what I have written down in my notes would be the slight frame and his durability, right? He did have an injury, his first year at Colorado, punctured, I don't want to say punctured lung, but had a serious injury on a late hit call, missed a couple games. But at that next level, that slight frame, that day in and day out wear and tear, he'll need to gain some muscle mass, and he can do that with that frame, right? And then some of his tackling technique. He made some big tackles this year, especially on the goal line, causing the fumble. And at times he can get lazy with this technique. He's so athletic. He's so able to cover any and everybody. Like, it's not a single person that he can't press, he can't play off, he can't do whatever with. But at times when you're that good and you're playing all offense and defense, you get a little lazy at times with the technique. So those would be my knocks on him. But I'm gonna be honest with you, Earl. On defense, and this is hard for me, I don't know if I want him as a cornerback or receiver, or mainly corner or mainly receiver. I don't know what to do. If he played corner, strictly cornerback, he would be an all-pro. He is that talented. It's nothing. I mean, when it comes to today's type corner, you want the longer type of cornerback. You want the guy that can get his hands on you in press coverage. You want a guy that can bait the quarterback, when it comes to coverages. And one thing he does extremely well is his IQ. His football IQ, understanding the route concepts, understanding his third down, their tendencies, right? It shows up on film because he watches film. He studies film, and it shows. He's running routes at times for the receivers. He's beating them to the ball, and he's using his length as his advantage. Like, you've heard Richard Sherman, you've heard other cornerbacks come out and say, like, hey, this kid can be an all-pro cornerback. Because he's long, he's rangy. There's not a single person he can't run with. He can play off. He can bait you and cover two. He can bait you, he can press you and then play cover three. He just does a phenomenal job at playing cornerback position. There's not a person that's going to run by him. If you do run by him, he's so long and lanky, his radius is able to knock the ball down and fight through it. And that's one more thing I think I saw at different times in different games that I'll say is a knock on him. Not a big one, because, again, he's playing both ways. And it's tough. It's tough to play both ways, and you're barely practicing. You're playing 150 plays a game. I don't think people realize how much 150 plays, 140, 130 plays is. That's a ton of plays in one game. There's moments where, Earl, if you catch the ball, instead of going through your hands and breaking it up or trying to get a late win and fight through it, he may do one swipe and that'll be it, right? And I've seen that multiple times. But this dude can lock people down, man. Like, he can literally shut the whole side of the field down. He could be your boundary corner in the NFL. That's how good I think he is. Now, on the flip side, as a receiver, when the boy touched the ball, he might score. Like, it's literally every time he touch it, what's he gonna do now? Is he gonna spin, break two tackles, and go for 80? Is he going to run by you? Is he going to do his flexible catching and arms everywhere? His hands are phenomenal.
Yeah,
That's one thing
strong,
that's one thing that
strong.
separates him on defense, right? The ball's in the air, he a receiver on defense. That ball's there as a receiver, he gonna go up and get it. Like he's just unbelievable. Early this year, I don't know if it was Colorado State. I can't remember the
No, it
game.
was Colorado State. You talk about the play on the goal line.
On the goal line,
I
he's
know exactly what you're
twisted.
talking about. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like it's unreal what he can do. Now I think his ceiling is higher as a cornerback, but he's a good route runner. He's in the right space at the right time. He understands where he needs to be. Again, the film studies that he puts in shows. Like Dion and that staff did a good job of teaching these guys how to prepare for each and every game because it's showing. Shador knew exactly where he was going to be on certain routes. He knew exactly where he was supposed to be, right? And he knew. And one thing about I love when I seen stuff like this. Kind of this wasn't behind the scenes, but you would see stuff on Twitter. You would see stuff like when the camera's on the field during the game, Shador would get on Travis, or a coach would get on Travis, and he'd be like, "Yes, sir. All right, let's go. I got you." Shador's like, "Hey, do you want the ball or not?" He's like, "I want the ball." All right, then get open. All right, I got you. And they're gonna make a play. So his number's being called. You know his number's being called, and he goes and still makes the play. Like to me, that's the most pressure you can get. You're called upon each and every week to shut down their best receiver, to go out there and be the best wide receiver you got, and they know they got to stop you on offense and defense, and they still couldn't stop you. This dude is amazing. Now, again, I think he has a higher ceiling being a cornerback, but I can see him being a receiver. And I think when you look at the Browns situation, he could be a guy that could be your boundary, or he could be your field corner when you got Denzel to be the boundary corner. Or if Denzel is struggling, who knows what's going to happen with his concussions? You never know. But boom, he could be your lockdown corner. He could be your nickel. You could put him on the outside and move Newsom in or somebody else in at the nickel spot. He gives you a wide range of opportunities to do on the defense side of the ball. Now, if you look at him on offense for the Browns, you got Judy, and then you have Travis Hunter. Right now, Travis Hunter is probably your second best receiver if he joins the team. Just being honest with you right now. He's probably your second best playmaker. Maybe your first best, depending how much you want to use him and how much you want to put him out there. There's not a route he can't run. He's fast. He can stop on a dime. We already talked about his hands. He creates separation, and boy, gonna study film. Now, the questions I have, the biggest questions I have for the team that's going to draft him, say it's the Browns' situation, is a couple questions. Here we go. How do you manage his load? Because Dion understood the assignment. Mm-hmm. He didn't practice until Thursday or Friday. If he played Saturday, he was resting, he was recovering, he was doing treatment, he had all these things set up. He was at practice, but he was watching film, he was in the film room, but he was humble enough to give this kid the opportunity. He was like, okay, I trust you to do your job. Will an NFL head coach who's 35, 45, 55, some even older than that, will they trust this 21, 22-year-old to take care of his body? Will they trust him to say, hey, we're going to let you have we're going to load manage you throughout the week if we decide to play you both ways, right? That's the question. Can they be humble enough? Can they move their ego out the way and really learn how to manage his load if you decide to play him both ways?
All right, so basically you're talking about managing a relationship. So before you move on to question number 2, because I think that's a great point. I think that, when you bring these young guys into your organization, it's not necessarily about managing a player. It's about managing that relationship and learning that individual, right? Because if you understand it, then maybe you should talk to his positional coach and talk to Dion if you was to draft a guy like Travis Hunter to see how he was handled. It sounds like to me he's a young man that's very mature. He's a young man that really has earned, that trust and that respect to, okay, I know he's going to show up and I know he's going to do his job in the film room. I know he's going to do his job in the weight room, in the recovery room. And then when it's time for him to practice, I know he's going to do his thing. And then I'll get the rewards, on Saturday. In this case, it'll be on Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Monday. You know how the NFL is. So it's like, to hear that about him, that's very, very intriguing, right? Because everybody wants somebody like that on their roster that they can trust, man, that's going to show up, do their job, and don't have to be micromanaged, right? It's just a matter of, like you said, is this organization or any organization that's going to take him be willing to get their ego and their pride and take that and put that out the way? So, they can have the success that they need to with this dude on their roster. So question number 2.
Just to piggyback on that real quick, like this hasn't happened before. Like Dion played a little bit of offense, right? Cordell Stewart was a slash. He played, but it was still one side of the ball, right? This kid here could literally be if he just only played cornerback, he could be a first round, a top 5 cornerback. If he only played receiver at Colorado last year, he could be a top 5 receiver, probably the first package you're taking. So the second question is, how do you use him? What side of the ball is he on, right? And that depends on the particular team. That depends on what you need. That depends on what do you think his best ceiling is. Where do you think you need him at mostly? But I would not just hold him to one side of the ball. I just couldn't do it. Maybe it's mainly receiver and then maybe play a little bit of nickel at times, right? Maybe it's mainly cornerback and then we got a package for him on offense. But he's too good of a playmaker, especially for a city like Cleveland, for a team like Cleveland, excuse me, to not use him on the offense side of the ball or the defense side of the ball. Like that alone will put fans in the seats. That alone will get the fans excited. That alone, will somebody just put score points, that alone will help you score points, right? And one more thing I think before I end this breakdown of Travis Hunter, I think he's best fit for a small market. And I'm gonna tell you why. Now, this is not to get too personal. It's not to get too on the girlfriend situation. The type of kid he is, and you talked about it a little bit. He's a character kid, integrity. He gonna work hard. He cares about football. He gonna be focused on ball.
Mm-hmm.
And how he handled that situation with his girlfriend and the past or whatever the case may be, I don't want to talk about that. It showed me a lot because it's different going to New York and playing. Like TMZ and the tabloids and all this stuff, they're going to find every single thing about you, your girlfriend, your mama, your auntie, your uncle, and they're going to put it out there constantly. How he handled that girlfriend thing worried me a tad bit like, I don't know if he can be in a big market. So it may be best for him to be in a smaller market, be in a Cleveland type situation, be in a Tennessee type situation, be in a Jacksonville type situation, 3 teams in your top 5, right? Be in a New England type situation that, hey, it's a smaller market. You'll still be the man, still get your deals, all that stuff. You'll still play well, but you don't got to worry about all the off the field stuff as much. And that way, hey, you got guys in there that can mentor you. You got guys there that can help you through that process because it's a lot being a Heisman Trophy winner. It's a lot that comes with it. When it comes to the receiver side, when it comes to DB side, I gave you Champ Bailey. When it comes to receiver side, right now he reminds me of a Devontae Smith type. The wiry, the long running, the great hands, the route running ability. So I think this dude is special. I would not be mad if the Browns draft him at number 2. I'm not saying they would. I think me and you agree. I think we should go quarterback. But I'm not mad at Mel Kiper for doing this. He would be a heck of a player. He would be somebody the Browns fans would love and be excited about, and it would put butts in seats. And I think that's a win-win from on the field and business side.
I mean, clearly, when you trying to build a stadium in Brook Park, right, and you need to sell PSL, so you need players that's dynamic like that. You need guys that's gonna put butts in the seats, and guys like that, man. They show up, they sell tickets, and they make plays, man. So, just I guess my closing thoughts with it. The Champ Bailey comparison, man, that's a very, very strong comparison. Champ Bailey made it all the way to the Hall of Fame. I like the Devontae Smith comparison. Like, we already know Travis Hunter is an elite athlete. He's when I think of two-way players, right? I think of guys like Chris Gamble. You know what I mean? That comes to mind. I think about when we was younger, we seen Deion Branch do it a little bit, right? Of course, we seen Deion Sanders do it a little bit, but I've never seen nobody like this young man right here. And so as he kicks off his NFL career, man, wishing him nothing but the best. But I don't think it would be the right pick for the Cleveland Browns, man.